Welcome, everybody, to Let's Talk, the Todd Worsham Show. Today, we have a special guest, a good friend of mine, Mr. George Roby.
Hello, everyone.
So, we're going to start off with a little story on how George and I met on Craigslist, and I'm going to let George take it from here.
Oh, okay. So I was in Michigan, and I decided I wanted to get away before it get 12 degrees because I can't take the cold anymore. So I looked at Craigslist, and the first name I came across was Todd's name. I wanted to come to Arizona.
Really? I was the first name you came across?
The first name.
Wow.
Yep. Well, actually, the second. First one didn't answer.
Oh, okay.
So when I called you, you picked up.
Okay.
And I said, hello, my name is George Roby. And you told me your name. And, I said, well, I seen your ad. And I'm interested, How much is the room again? I wanted to make sure that the paper had
You had enough money to pay for it.
yeah, I wanted to make sure that the amount was correct on Craigslist. And whatever the amount was, and so I was pretty good with that. And so we talked, asked each other a bunch of questions and stuff, and it seemed like to me you seemed like a nice guy, And so so we decided to meet. I asked you, I said, well, do you want me to send you a deposit on the room? Remember that? And you told me no, because I was just checking out. I wanted to see, is this for real? Because so many people scam people. So I stepped out on faith. I'd never been to Arizona, and I always wanted to come. So you told me no. Just give it to me when you get here. I said, well, can you pick me up from the airport? You said yes. So you were the first person I met when I got here. You picked me up from the airport. You were late.
Was I late?
You were late.
Yeah.
But you came. But before we hung up, I said, Todd, I'm black, right?
Which I did know.
You said, yes, I know you're black, George. I said, okay.
Well, yeah, because you wanted to see if I had a problem with that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And we'll kind of get into that a little bit in the show, a little bit later on the show. But anyway,
yeah.
So go ahead with your story.
So you came to the airport and picked me up and took me to this very nice house, swimming pool and all this stuff. I didn't like the snakes around the house.
The bees.
oh yeah. I was the only person the bees stung. I guess they didn't like black. Hit me in my chest about 3 times.
That's a true story.
Yeah. But, so, it was very nice meeting you, Todd. And, I've been enjoying your company ever since.
Yeah, we've been good friends since then. We no longer live together, by the way. We got a divorce.
Yeah. Our couple got a divorce.
George is too high maintenance for me.
Oh, okay. I saw a princess out there. I had to look at her.
All right.
So, you take it away, Todd.
Well, I thought you were going to keep talking. I wasn't ready for this. Anyway, so George came to Arizona. I picked him up at the airport and brought him to the house. And was Dave was still alive then, right?
Dave was there.
Dave was still. So I had a friend of mine that was also staying with me. He was going through. I know I sound like a one of these people take in animals or some shit, but instead of taking in animals, I take in people. I've always done that.
And the moment I walked in your house and saw Dave, he looked at me like he hated my guts.
Yeah,
I said, uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, he was kind of.
He was different.
Yeah, I don't really like to talk bad about Dave, but Dave was in a really bad place where I can't remember how old he was. I think he was like 62.
I know I was older than him, so.
But anyway, that doesn't matter. But anyway, so Dave, I brought Dave out here because because he got fired from his other job that we were both at. But anyway, so I brought him here to Arizona, and like 2 or 3 weeks after he started working with me, his hip went out.
Wow.
And then right after that happened, he went into surgery, got his hip replaced, and he wasn't recovering very well. And then he just slid into a depression that no one could get him out of. I mean, he was, and you can verify this with me. He was determined to kill himself with Bud Light,
right.
And then there's other arguments that him and I can get into about Obamacare and all that kind of shit that we're not going to do on this program.
Not this time.
Not this time. But at any rate, Yeah, but yeah, Dave. I would say, and it's funny too because he grew up in San Diego, California. I grew up in Long Beach, California, and I didn't grow up with racism or with color, treating people different because of their color or stuff like that. But I'm gonna have to agree with George. I do believe in my heart of hearts that Dave was. I don't like talking bad about the dead. I do believe he was a racist, or he was racist to a
I
certain
know he
degree.
was.
So, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know that, and he never said that to me. But I do know for a fact that he did treat you subhuman.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah, he did.
But how did I treat him?
Good, like you always treated him good. You did.
Exactly.
And that's one reason why you and I are good friends, like the way we are, is because no matter what life throws at us and what people come into our lives, we always treat everybody with the same respect, regardless if it's given to us or not.
I always try to show the best of me. Sometimes I fall short, but I try hard to show the best of me.
Right.
So,
and that's kind of what the show's about. The show's about showing you, showing everybody how, no matter where we come from, what our backgrounds are, and all that kind of stuff, that we actually have a lot more in common than not. And thank God for George and I. I mean, our characters are pretty close.
Pretty similar. Same sense of humor.
Like I said, it's the one elephant in the room that everybody can't get control of, and that's politics. But if you keep politics out of our relationship, it's really good. And even with the politics, we still manage it because, but again, it goes back to what you're saying. It goes back to respect.
Mm-hmm.
So another interesting story that you had told me a while back ago was about your mom's grandmother, your mom's mother,
My mother's mother,
and she was American Indian,
Cherokee Indian.
Cherokee Indian. So tell us a little bit about that story, if you could, a little bit about her and.
Well, I never met her, Todd.
Oh, you never met her?
I never met her. She died. My mother was in her 20s when she died.
Okay. Oh, your mom was?
My mom was in her 20s when her mother died.
Oh, when her mother died. Okay.
Yeah. So if I may, I'll show a picture of her.
You may.
Okay. Let's see. She's a nice looking lady. And I always heard, everybody always said that she was such a pretty lady. I mean, inside. Talking about, beautiful inside.
And that right there is George's
grandmother.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't have any pictures of my ancestors like that.
So I'm from a pretty mixed family because my mother's mother, like the picture you just showed, her grandfather was white, was Caucasian.
Ah.
So I have a mixed family in the sense there's Chinese in there somewhere too down the line. So we're mutts.
Well, yeah, because I'm American Indian, Australian, and German, and I'm sure there's a couple other things thrown in there. So yeah, we're both mutts. We're made from pieces from all over the world. So, but I think that's kind of cool, and I think that's what America is. I think America is a melting pot. And we all live together here underneath one roof, and we all seem to get along for the most part. So that's really good. And
I thank God there's only a few assholes that always trying to stir the bowl.
Yeah, but
start problems and stuff. I don't like problems because that problems sometimes moves into violence.
Yes.
Because some people don't know how to handle problems without violence.
Yes, I agree with that because we haven't been taught that way. So getting back to that, I think you and I both came from a pretty well disciplined family, even though we grew up in different. Okay, for example, give me a typical day in Detroit at the age of 8.
At the age of 8, okay.
Or whatever age you choose, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
let your mind go.
Detroit was racist back then. I don't know if every state was, because I was born in 1953. So in the 60s is when I really started paying attention and noticing the difference. And, the way police treated us and with the brutality. The police brutality didn't just start. It was all through my life. And, of course, in my father's life, too. For some reason, this unit they called Stress, they were very violent towards little black boys, beat us and try to run. You be in the alley playing kickball, they ride up in there real fast, try to run you over, and all kind of stressful stuff. I was stressed out all the time. I was so afraid. The store like around the corner. My mother sent me to the store. I'm scared to go. Scared of the bigger boys might beat me up. Scared of the police. So I run to the store and run back home. I'd run to school and run back home because the police was always trying to hurt people. It was terrible. And I'm
The
sure
police were?
the police was trying to beat us or kill us.
Yeah. See my experiences.
I know
were,
you never had that.
No.
A lot of Caucasians.
Well, actually, I'll be honest with you. When I was, I want to say I was around 19 or 20. I used to have this old beat up 1959 Ford pickup truck. And I'll never forget this. I was going to a friend of mine's house because we were going to go to Azusa Canyon and go off-roading that day. And I came around the corner and all these cop cars just swarmed in on my truck. And before I even knew what was going on, I was on the ground and I was being kicked and spit on, and they were calling me a spick and a Mexican, and they were calling me all kinds of names and shit. And I had no idea what was going on, none. I had zero. The next thing I know, I'm handcuffed. I got blood coming out of my face. My lips all swollen. My nose is bleeding. I had cherries on my arm where they dragged me and kicked me on the ground. And they handcuffed me and they threw me in the car, and they took me to Lakewood. I went to Lakewood jail. They took me in there, and then finally, what they had told me was I robbed a house.
Oh. And
now I've stolen from my family when I was younger, like coins and and maybe some money out of my grandfather's closet or sock drawer or whatever. I mean, I'll admit to that I did that. I have no issues with that because I did it. But I have never broken into somebody's house, nor would I ever do something like that. So next thing I know, I'm in jail.
Wow.
And I had no what could I say? I mean, and they're asking me, well, and the funny thing about all that was the robbery took place on my birthday. And at that time I was going to Long Beach City College. I was taking airframe and power plant school for aviation. And I never ever go to school or work on my birthday back then. I never did. When I was younger, I always took my birthday off. I celebrated myself with myself.
Okay.
And but thank God that particular year, because that school was really hard. It was really hard. I ended up dropping out. But at any rate, that school was really hard, and I happened to be at school that day.
So how long did they keep you in jail?
I was released. Let's see. They took a Kodak. You remember Kodak? You remember the Polaroid. They took a Polaroid picture of me, and I guess took it to the eyewitnesses that saw the robber or whatever, and then they kicked me out.
Believe it or not, my mother's people.
So I can't say that I can fully grasp or understand how you grew up. For me, that was an anomaly. It was a one-off situation, so that wasn't the norm for.
Plus, you were grown. I was.
Yeah, I was grown. Yes. I was a man at that time. Yeah.
So I don't understand why you're trying to hurt me.
But and I'm not trying to be, trying to say, well, yeah, I know, but that's my experience that I had. So I couldn't imagine having to deal with that on a daily basis, let alone an hourly basis, or just every time you walked out the door, is some cracker going to shoot me,
right?
Or beat me up or whatever. So, and that's a horrible way to live, in my opinion.
I was scared, terrified all the time.
I could see that.
And on top of that, I was scared of my father.
Because of his discipline.
Yes, he knocked the hell out of you.
For?
I couldn't do nothing right when my father was around. Nothing. I'm sure he must have thought this boy is retarded because I was I'm scared to death of him because of something I seen him do, man. He used to beat my older brother so bad, I just cry. I think I was about 6. Beating him with furniture, man. My father was very mean. And you had to do exactly what he said. If not, you suffered the consequences. You really did. So anyway, so I was scared to death of him. I'm scared of the police, scared of teachers. You know, can I tell you what the principal used to do to us?
You sure can.
So I was in the third grade because around the time that Robert F. Kennedy got killed. Right before that, science class, which I really loved, Miss Hyde and science. And so someone came from the office with a note, and teacher read off the names.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed it was, because we did have some Caucasians in the class, it was all black boys.
Right.
So we had to line up and go to the office. So everybody's nervous and scared, trying to figure out, oh my God, am I in trouble? You know, that kind of, because I know if I get home and I'm in trouble in school, I'm going to get beat. So, you know, I was third in line to go in his office. And everybody that came out, I heard them screaming and hollering, come out crying and screaming and hollering. I don't want to go in there. I'm scared, right? You know, so I had to go in there. And I still remember his name, man. You know, I'm in the third grade, and I still remember his name. His name was Mr. Harrington, the principal. George, he says, bent down and grabbed the bottom of my chair, you know, the legs, and had them big chairs and the desk, you know, grabbed the bottom of the chairs. I looked at him, what? So I don't want to get in trouble, so I grab it. I'm not looking at him. All of a sudden, I hit this yap-pop. He took a razor strap and hit me so hard, I ran into the wall, screaming, hollering. Now, there's people in the office. You can hear these kids. Who don't run to a kid screaming and hollering?
Yeah, does it? Yeah.
You know.
Well, probably because they knew what was going on.
Yeah, they knew what was going on. That's my point.
Right.
So I jumped back, and he got his hands in his pants moving around. I'm like 8 or 9 years old. I don't know what that means, you know.
So he was playing with his junk while he was beating you?
He was jerking off while he was beating us black boys.
Holy fuck.
A racist, nasty bastard. And these people out there knew it. So he tells me,
but they were too afraid to step up and do so. Were they women?
Well, it's mostly women working in the office back then.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, even back then, you know.
Well, some of them were racist because my art teacher,
well, women got treated pretty bad too back in those days too.
My art teacher slapped me so hard I never been slapped that hard because I didn't put my cram down when she said. When she realized because everybody in the class was screaming and hollering when she slapped me real hard like that, and I'm in shock. And then now she's trying to hug me when she realized what she's doing. I pushed her away from me. I still remember her. Her name was Miss Malamad. I'm pushing her away from me.
Was she mad?
I'm pushing her away from me. She's trying to hug. And I'm like, get her. Everybody screaming, hollering. But the whole, to me, most of the people in that school, you know, a couple of them was really nice, you know. Like I was a safety boy. And the gym teacher, he was really nice to me and tried to protect me from these bastards, you know. He did. He used to call and get me
your PE teacher? What teacher did you say?
He was a gym teacher.
Gym teacher.
But he, you know,
you guys didn't call that
boys.
Right, but you didn't call that PE back in those days?
No.
Physical education?
No, it was just gym teacher back in those days.
So yeah, that's probably a difference between West Coast and.
So I found this kid, right? I'm a safety boy, and he used to always say, most of the safety boys are not on their job. I was in the Army. I thought I was big stuff because I'm a safety boy, right?
Right.
Make everybody stand behind the line. And he used to ride by there and see that all the time. He was very impressed with me. Yeah, I really liked. His name was Mr. Lass, and so I'm getting ready to leave my post and go home for lunch, and this little bitty boy. I mean, I was a little boy, but he was littler than me. You know, I think he was in first grade or kindergarten. He was lost. I can't believe his parents didn't, the little kid is lost. He don't know where, he's just crying. He don't know where he lives. Just told me his name. So I didn't know what to do with him, so I took him home with me. Told my mother's situation. She gave us both lunch and gave me a note. And I took him back to school, to the office and stuff. And wait, long story short, Mr. Lass promoted me to lieutenant of the safety boys. So, then the next year I was captain of the safety boys. I was big stuff, So he saved me a lot, he knew what was going on. All those teachers knew what was going on, the racism.
But isn't it kind of shameful that nobody, Well,
Nobody came to kids' rescue.
well,
I could dislike you, and I'm not gonna let anybody hurt your kid.
And I hate to say this, but the fact is, it was just the times. But that's not an excuse. I mean,
No,
it's
it's
just
not. Kids are kids.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I just I couldn't do that. I couldn't stand by and let somebody abuse anybody.
What if
I
you were
just
scared?
I'll do it scared.
I figured all these people were scared because all of them couldn't have been racist. In my mind, all of them.
I mean, I do the same thing in my job right now. I mean, I see shit that I know ain't right, and no, we all see it, and people just.
Some people just say that's the way it is.
Yeah, and I can't help myself. I got to open my mouth and at least question it. You know what I mean? And again, that's another purpose of my show right now is to question things and.
You have to because kids don't tell. That's my point.
Yeah, they don't tell.
I was too scared to tell my parents.
Well, that's like
I was terrified. I was terrified of all Caucasians. I figured they're gonna beat me and jerk off or whatever shit.
Well, that's kind of like this thing going on right now, and I don't know if I really want to get into this on this program, but in California, the schools are trying to do sex changes on children without telling their parents.
How's school gonna do a sex change?
By giving them hormone therapies and testosterone and get them prepped up.
School.
Yeah, school.
You like
public schools.
Oh,
yeah.
Whatever.
California's in a battle right now over that.
Wow.
The school district is telling the parents that the parents don't have the right to be in control of their children's sexual preferences. So my thought to that is. And I don't know how you were because you grew up in a different world, but I know when I was a child, I wore my grandmother's shoes, and I remember one time dressing up as a girl, but I didn't turn out gay. I mean, it was just
why? Why did you dress up as a girl?
I think it was just curiosity because, in my opinion, my grandmother wore the pants in the family. My grandfather was the king, but the queen ruled. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think when you're a child, sometimes, I think in my mind, I wanted to know what it was like to be the supervisor, to be the one in charge. It had nothing to do with sexual, what do I want to say? Sexual curiosity. I wasn't.
She let you dress?
No, nobody was home.
Oh, you snuck and did it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. So.
I think all kids have done that. Or did you put on your dad's shoes? Did you wear? See, but that's the same.
When I was a little boy, yeah, I should put his boots on.
Okay, well, that's the same thing. And why did you do that? Because those boots came with authority.
Made me feel like I was a big boy.
So, see, there you go. See, now the difference is in your home, your father ruled. In my home, my grandmother ruled. Does that make sense to you?
It does,
Because
strangely it does, but
so my point being is it didn't matter what sex they were. Do you understand that?
Sure.
So the point is that I looked up to that authority and I was striving to know what it's like to be that authority or to be in those authoritarian shoes.
To be grown.
Right, to be grown, yes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because I thought I was a girl.
Well, nowadays
I wasn't confused about my penis.
People used to get mad at me. Well, not mad, but questioning me about, my son's not going to play with a doll.
I play with G.I. Joes.
I would let my daughter's going to play with a doll, not my son.
So what's the difference between a Barbie and a G.I. Joe?
I guess the way they're dressed.
Okay. Well, I can get that.
I guess the way they're dressed.
I do agree with that, by the way. Just letting you know, I do agree with that.
I was not around. Well, as a kid, I don't know the difference between gay or whatever, But growing up like that, I might have ran into one or two gay people.
Right, yeah.
Not everywhere.
Not like today.
Yeah, they're everywhere now. But I didn't want my, call me selfish or whatever, or controlling. I didn't want my son to be gay. Of course, some people have a problem with that, but that's my feeling. I didn't want my son to grow up gay because back then, gay people caught hell.
Yeah, they got beaten. Yeah,
caught hell.
So it'd be like a double jeopardy because you're black and you're gay.
Yeah, black and gay, they just didn't go together. So I did not.
That would not be good.
And the reason I was on him like that was because I had a sneaky suspicion, because he's my stepson, that his dad's father was gay. his mannerism, the way he talks.
Me personally, I think the whole gay thing should be no one's business. And I personally believe that, if you like to have sex with animals or the same sex or with trees or donkeys or whatever you do, that's really not the public's concern or business, and it's not your neighbors. And I don't understand why they have to have special rights, because
sex with animals is abusive to the animal, to me. That's bestiality.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's wrong. I mean,
it's not good.
I don't see that in the Bible anywhere, and I don't see Adam and Steve in there. Or even
Jane.
Yeah, Jane. Yeah, I mean, it's
Right.
it's pretty well spelled out in the Bible what we are, what rules we should follow.
And a lot of people object to what you're saying.
Yeah, I do though. I do
Yeah,
that.
a lot of people object to what you're saying.
And that's okay, because when we meet our Maker, and when we're judged. Yes.
But you're right. But on the other hand, I know that God loves us all equally.
Yes.
And He did give us a choice.
Free agency.
He gave us the choice to do as we want to. And you can be the worst person in the world and stuff, but you drop
Okay,
your
so
knees and beg God to forgive
so
you,
okay,
you
so
will.
hold on. So you just took us down another road.
Okay.
So free agency, right?
Mhm.
That's what I believe in.
Yeah.
So if you're in bondage, your free agency is removed from you.
Right.
So you're not free if you're gay, because you're in bondage. That's the way I see it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right.
So why are you saying they're in bondage? If you're gay?
Because it's its own entity, it's its own culture, and their rules are different than our rules, and the way that they do their lives, and they're different. I have a few friends that are gay, and their lifestyles are so different than ours.
I understand that.
It's completely different.
But does that mean it's bondage?
I think it's almost like a cult, because you have to abide by these certain rules. You have to be, you have to do things that fit that community. Well, look at the whole thing right now with the drag queens, and how all these people are pushing all this stuff on us. And then the LGBTQ community right now is saying that we don't want any part of all this, because they don't believe in the children. The greater part of the LGBTQ community firmly, from what I've read and seen, firmly believe that the children should be left alone. Okay, they all agree upon that. Mm-hmm. That we should not try to
persuade them either way.
Right. That we should let our children grow up free agency, and this is what this all kind of goes back to, because children are supposed to grow up and explore their selves. It doesn't mean they're gay. It doesn't mean that they're, it just means that they're growing up and exploring. I mean,
I sort of agree with that, but like I said, I did not want my son to be gay, so I pushed him manly.
Right. Which was a personal choice.
Yeah, I pushed him to do stuff that I did, because I took up Taekwondo. And when he was 6, I had him doing stuff, my practice, doing stuff.
But isn't that...
I taught him to paint and
But isn't that a father's responsibility to see? Okay, wait, you know what? This takes me down another road.
Okay, come on.
So you make a very good point here. This is why family structure is so important.
Yes.
Because I don't care what people say, children need a father and a mother. Mm-hmm. They need two parents to grow up correctly. Because without that, they don't understand how to handle life when they get older. Like for example, my kids were taken away from me at an early age, and they were raised by her. Well, as they got older, they didn't understand what a man's duties are.
A woman can't teach a boy how to be a man.
Exactly. And
she can be his best.
And that's not being misogynist. That's just being biologically, in my opinion, it's just the way that it is. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, in today's world, you got to watch what you say. We're not allowed to, I mean, what would they do if they played the Sanford and Son show today, or or what was that show with Carol O'Connor? All in the Family.
All in the Family.
I mean, just think about that. I mean, because I love the one thing I
used to like to laugh at it, but sometimes I say, "You racist mother."
but that was the thing.
Yeah.
That was the thing about it. It broke the ice between us.
Yeah.
And it put us in a place to laugh at each other. Did it not?
Yes, it did.
Instead of creating anger between each other. I
used to laugh at him all the time.
Yeah.
And Edith. And George. And George is coming and shaking and shit.
Actually, the Jeffersons were one of my favorites. And actually Sanford and Son, I still watch that today. Yeah. So
you know, their maid was one of my mother's best friends.
No, I did not know that.
She was my mother's best friend. She used to come and pull up in this big Cadillac.
All right.
Get up. Anyway, okay.
I hate to say this, but that 30 minutes went by really fast.
It really did. Very nice conversation.
So, George,
nice talking to you.
George, you're welcome to come back. Actually, will you come back?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have George on again, and we'll have some more conversations. But anyway, everybody, thank you for joining in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And
I enjoyed it very much. It's brought back a lot of memories.
I know, but I'm hoping they enjoyed it.
Yeah. We'll pay you later.
All right, you guys. Remember, every Thursday a new episode. Tune in to Let's Talk. The Todd Worsham Show.
Because we did not get all out. I got a lot of stories.
Okay. Thank you.
Adios, everybody.